Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Golden Sun. In the last one we got here to the Tunnel Ruins, and now you might notice the pattern here is a bit different. It's because I went back to the Venus Lighthouse off-screen and talked with the statue that I talked to before again so I can get that pattern. Why? Well, the thing is, that pattern dictates a split of left and right in an upcoming room. And I'd rather head to the left first than the right, which is what the pattern I had at the end of the last part would have given me. Don't worry, I'm showing off both paths, it's just the fact that I wanted to go to the left first, and this pillar is being annoying. Well, more accurately, move is being annoying. The Tunnel Ruins here is actually a fairly easy area in terms of puzzles, honestly. Only one that's pretty tricky, and that's because well, first off, here's where the split is. I'm heading left first. There's only one really annoying puzzle in here, and that's because you might not realize how it's done the first playthrough until you experiment around, but I'll be doing it no matter what, because it's a required puzzle, actually. Enemy-wise in here, there's nothing terribly big. There's one new enemy I'll be showing off because I run into it, but yeah. In fact, that's kind of my mentality with RPGs that I Let's Play. I'll show off a new enemy if I run into it, but if I don't, oh well. By the way, in case you're wondering what's going on here, it's because my depth perception was screwing with me. That's one thing that the series definitely benefited when it came to the jump to 3D with the third game. Depth perception when it came to puzzles like that, it became a lot easier. Though overall, Dark Dawn, while it's my favorite, it's also honestly the easiest. Then again, a lot of people say Dark Dawn's the easiest in general, but honestly, I think those people may have level grinded a bit too much, because in terms of levels, for the comes to the Golden Sun series, you can make it through with the levels you gain with any given random battle. But I generally like to be a bit higher level than normal, just so I can have a bit of a safety curve. But luckily I'm not going for max level in this game. Why? We're at about 20,000 experience right now. Level 99's in the 8 millions for Isaac, I believe. So, yeah, not happening. In fact, I think in terms of max level runs, I think I only have one other game I'm gonna do that in. That's the next RPG, actually. Which I hope by the time this gets uploaded, I'll have finished. Because that one has a bit of scheduling conflicts, because I might have a guest commentator on that one. Anyway, I've been completely bypassing the puzzles here, but that's just because these are fairly simple pillar-pushing puzzles, and oh yeah, that's kind of stupid. Sometimes move won't work. Not because they have a glitch or anything, it's because you technically can't be on the block that you're moving something into. Which is really stupid, because sometimes move likes to be really precise with where you have to be in order to move something with it. I forget if they fixed that in Dark Dawn. I don't think they did in the Lost Age, because Lost Age, for the most part, is the exact same engine this is. Aside from some weird additions. Though there are some really weird things about this game in general. Like, there's actually an enemy script issue that I didn't go over earlier. You might remember the Stone Soldiers actually back in Suhala Deserts. I mentioned they have a Mad Blast attack, which I think was their Kamikaze attack. They have it, yes, but they can't use it because they don't have enough PP. I always find enemy script things like that rather interesting. It's kind of like Final Fantasy VII with Pandora's Box being a once per save file kind of thing. And the only reason I remember that right off the top of my head is because I actually recently... Well, actually, no, I'm still doing the playthrough of 7. I think I mentioned it a couple parts now. I've been taking a break from it, though, because chocobo breeding. Ugh. It's so worth it, but at the same time, it's so tedious. Anyway, this is the room you would come to no matter which pathway you went through. However, because we went left, we get this room with an ice gargoyle, apparently. 304 HP, weak to earth, strong against wind. Can drop a potion. They can use Ice Blessing and Mother Gaia, which is actually one of the strongest earth attacks in the game. So, watch out for that. But, honestly, besides that, nothing really of worth. There's, I think, one other new enemy in here I don't run into. But, oh well. Anyway, yeah. Now, the statue here, you might wonder what you have to do with it. I think if you use Mind Read on it, it tells you what to do. But pretty much use Reveal, and there's a treasure chest there. And here we get one of the best pieces of equipment in the game, the Oracle's Robe. That is for Mia. I actually think she's the only one who could equip it. Yeah, she is. It's around now that you really start getting the really good equipment, for good reason, because, second to last dungeon, but, yeah. Anyway, welcome to the only really hard puzzle in the game. Pretty much the colored statues here, you use Mind Read on them, and they give you clues as to where to place them on that little period, on those little 5 dots there. Yellow says, violet shines southeast of me. Violet says, red shines northwest of me. Red says, violet shines southeast of me. Green says yellow shines northeast of me, and light blue says red shines due west of me. So you need to take those clues and figure out where they all go. But for those who are too lazy, pretty much yellow goes in the middle, red goes in the top left, blue goes in the top right, green goes in the bottom left, and violet goes in the bottom right. And the only reason that had me stumped for a while as a kid, because I didn't realize you could use Mind Read on these things. I don't know why, and this isn't even the first time these kind of sprites have showed up on screen, so maybe you could use Mind Read on the other time these guys showed up, which was, well, guys, gals. Because, you could run into, very early on in Venus Lighthouse, when we were there the first time, we saw statues that looked exactly like this in terms of sprite. So, Also, one thing I have neglected to mention at this point, really, but I'm really glad they did, is that, you see that little barrier around us that prevents us from pushing outside of there? That is so useful so you don't screw yourself. Anyway, what does this place lead to? Venus Lighthouse. Final dungeon in the game and some grand music. Now, before you continue on, would you believe that there's a really powerful weapon you can get in this room right here? Also, this is one of the best places to grind in the game. But we're not going to get that item just yet, I believe. Yeah, we're not. First off, we're back in the lower half of the Venus Lighthouse. What I'm going to do first is just reveal and go back up to the statue room. Talk to the statue again so I can have it back to the path I had at the beginning of the part. Now, that electrical barrier just puts that statue out of the way to move. It's back. So you might be wondering, oh, I have to backtrack all the way out? No, just use retreat. You'll be put right behind the electrical barrier again. Then head back to the room in the Eternal Ruins where you started, where you entered the Venus Lighthouse from. Use retreat again. You're there at the beginning of the Tunnel Ruins. It's a pretty simple thing. But yeah, now I'm heading back to the split so I can show off the right. Because there's another pretty useful item along the way here. Basic puzzle in this room is that you have to push these towers onto little water switches. And, yeah. However, then they throw a little twist at you. This. You push this one on. It doesn't go, because for some reason, either the extra weight of the water helps it, or this thing is just really thirsty because you need to use douse on it. I don't get that. Or at least how that would work, but alright. And here you're going to want to head right first, because south heads towards the exit, or the Venus Lighthouse. Because in here we get another one of these statues, which of course use Reveal on. Get a treasure chest, which has the Ashura's armor. One of my favorite pieces of armor in the game for Isaac. Boosts his attack and replenishes his HP after every turn. There's one other really good armor that we're going to get in the Venus Lighthouse that some people would prefer over that, but I prefer this. Though, don't throw away any really good armor or weapons you get around now. Might clutter your inventory, yes, but trust me, it's worth keeping around. Anyway, we got a rather interesting puzzle here. It's nothing hard. In fact, I can say for a fact that none of the puzzles in this game are absurdly hard. Because, while it's an RPG that has a difficulty curve, yes, this is still an RPG made as an introductory one, so I have to keep that in mind. So, the puzzles aren't terribly brain-taxing, not in this one, at least. Some of the ones in Dark Dawn got me for a bit, though. Anyway, use Douse on it, then use Frost so you can make a jump over to where those little slides are. That got me for about 2 minutes on my first playthrough. Then again, the weird thing is, I played this game around release, but I didn't actually get this far until after the sequel came out. I think. My memory's kind of hazy of back then, actually. Anyway, back in the Venus Lighthouse. Now we're gonna go for that really powerful weapon I mentioned earlier. Use Wish Well. First off, I only used Wish Well so I could use the Sanity Stone, but here we're gonna do a hard reset, well, save and then a hard reset. Then we're gonna want to do some minor setting. By that I mean give the quick boots to Mia, because we want Garrett's agility to be around 150, but we want him to be slower than Mia for this one specific setup. Anyway, after saving, quitting, and hard resetting, the first battle you get is a Fenrir and Ice Gargoyle, and you get the first strike. Have Isaac use Clay Spire, Garrett use Flare Wall, Ivan use Tornado, and Mia use Ice Horn, and make sure all the big arrows are pointed at the Fenrir. And need to make sure, for RNG purposes, that Mia is faster than Garrett, that's why. But you need his agility to be over 150 so he can kill the Fenrir before it gets its chance to attack. Anyway, round 2, defend with Isaac, use Torch or Scorch with Garrett, really. Defend with Ivan, and use Wish with Mia. You'll know you did it right for the most part at this point. When the Fenrir dies, it flashes green and red for a split second, as you saw there. And round 3, just have Isaac use Bane, and defend with everyone else. Because that'll kill the Arse Gargoyle. Yeah, that'd be an entirely different game. Ice Gargoyle. And doing that, you get the Kukui Chimanji, the rarest weapon drop in the game. And my personal favorite weapon for Ivan. A lot of people would argue the Swift Sword as well at higher levels, but I prefer this because its weapon unleashing is not only kick-ass, but it's also very common. Just keep around the Ninja Sword and such. We'll be using that possibly later on. But yeah, welcome to the Fallout Final Dungeon. I should actually probably get the Fenrir stats up, because that's the first time we encountered it. By the way, if you want to know exactly how rare of a drop that is, I think it's like a 0.4% chance. Anyway, the Fenrir has 406 HP, weak to fire, strong against water. Can drop the Kukui Chimanji, obviously. Double Fang, Ice Blessing, Wicked Howl. Very easy enemy, really. Anyway, you're gonna want to do what I just did, so you get the Thunder Crown, the cursed helmet of the game. As all cursed items have done so far, that goes to Garrett. In case you're wondering what a curse does, it's very similar to Dragon Quest, actually, I believe it was, where you just can't remove it. So you need to go to a healing house to get it removed. I forgot to put a transition in there. You know what it was? Because I think I was re-equipping my Jin after those RNG battles earlier. You're going to want to head behind that third waterfall, then jump across here so we can continue on. By the way, I said it earlier, but I absolutely love this song. In fact, I can say for a fact this might be my favorite song in the game. Really drives in that you're near the end. Anyway, this is the basic puzzles of this area. You got these little circuit board puzzles. That's just an introductory one, so it's very easy, but later on they will get kind of annoying. Anyway, next new enemy is a Will-O-Wisp and a Recluse. Will-O-Wisps have 209 HP, weak to earth, strong against water, can drop a nut. Blue Bolt, Drain, Haunting, and Tundra. I forget what all those attacks do, aside from Tundra. And Recluses have 221 HP, weak to fire, strong against earth, can drop a Unicorn Ring, Rabbit Fang, and Spiderweb. Nothing too bad. In fact, none of the areas around here are terribly hard in terms of enemies. Though, the room we were in at the beginning of this place, the room with the 2 staircases and the Psy-Energy Stone, that Psy-Energy Stone actually respawns when you leave the area. And because of it, this is the best area in the game to grind. In fact, in between parts, as I'll probably mention at the end of the part again, by the way, that switches that sound flow, that's necessary. In between parts, I will be grinding everyone up to level 35, except for Isaac, who will be level 36. Just so I can have an extra boost of levels before the final boss. Anyway, since we switched around that sand flow, and for some reason I'm being dumb and missing the ladder, we can now walk across the sand flow. Or head up here to this really pointless room. I forgot about that. I'm not gonna lie. Encounter rate isn't terribly high here either. In fact, as a whole, Golden Sun's encounter rate isn't terribly high. Which makes level grinding kind of annoying, honestly. If there's anything I can say about games like Final Fantasy II, As much as it pains me to say something good about that game, the encounter rate made it really easy to grind. God, I hate Final Fantasy II, though. It has some good ideas, too, which is the sad thing. And some pretty kick-ass music, for all things considered. But, yeah. Enough about a game I hate. Time to get back on topic with Golden Sun. And a new enemy, Grand Golem. 476 HP, weak to wind, strong against earth, can drop a Zodiac Wand, which is a pretty kick-ass wand for Mia. And has Truncheon Fists, which I was actually somewhat wrong about earlier. It can either, A, reduce someone to 1 HP, or do a lot more damage than normal attacks. I believe that's how it works. Because as much as I love this game, I'm not fully informed on how everything works. I don't do much research for these games other than enemy bios. Why? Not because I don't have the effort for it, it's because I'm kind of preoccupied with school stuff at the moment. With finals coming up relatively soon, as kind of sad as that is to say. Though by the time this is uploaded, I'll already be a college student. Anyway, got another circuit board puzzle here. Fairly simple, just push the things into the holes I'm pushing them in. I don't think it works with this one, but I do think some of the ones later on have more than one solution. Actually, no way, I can see another solution right now. The one I'm pushing, put that in the top right. Put the one that's in the top right in the top left, and then put the one that's in the bottom right in the bottom left. So I guess they do have more than one solution. So at least they're kind of like that. I think the third one only has one, though. Think is a keyword with that by far. And in here is the other item I was talking about. This is the Dragon Scales, I believe it was. That is the other armor piece I was talking about earlier in the part that you might want to switch the Ashura's armor around with, because it boosts your attack quite a bit. Anyway, next new enemy is a Chimera Mage. 413 HP, weak to water, strong against fire. Can drop a spiked armor, which I think is actually pretty good. Eruption, Fire Blessing, Mad Dash, Rabid Fang. It can also recover 150 HP, which is annoying. Though, mind you, if my party equipment and levels, that's like one attack, so nothing too bad. Actually, Fenrir, wasn't... Yeah, that was one of Loki's children in Norse mythology, wasn't it? Huh. I'm only bringing that up because Avengers comes out in 2 days. Well, Avengers 2, at least. Because Avengers 1 came out years ago. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully my opinion of it will be solid. But that'll have to wait until then. Anyway, I got another rather basic carry puzzle here. We've seen these a couple times already. That is one thing I will give credit to both Lost Age and Dark Dawn 4 as a whole, is that the puzzles become a bit more creative. But I'll give them the excuse because this was the first try, and even then, some of these are creative enough for the time. Because we had never really seen a game exactly like this before. We saw ones that are similar, yes, but nothing exactly like this. Because honestly, actually, I'm only now thinking about this. The whole design mentality of this game kind of reminds me of Wild Arms. The first one, at least. I forget how Wild Arms 2 onwards did. Anyway, our overall goal of this dungeon, I'm very late into getting this, is to put all these sandfalls down here and make them fill. Though, thankfully, as a whole, it's actually a very linear area. Once you figure out what the right path is, you're pretty much set on that one straight path. And in here is actually where we get one of the better items in the game. We got sand flows here, very similar to some of the Zelda games. Once you're on them, it's kind of hard to get off, except you can manipulate your direction onto another one. My goal is that chest. Because, my god, is it good. This is the Gaia Blade, the best weapon in the game for Isaac. Without hacking. Because this game does have quite a few dummied out enemies and items, one of which being the Soul Blade, which is the best weapon in the entire series in all 3 games. However, you cannot access it at all without hacking Golden Sun 1, and even then, I think it doesn't work. Because the enemy that drops it is also dummied out, and is not in the series until Lost Age, which is the sequel to this game, obviously. So you'll have to wait until the sequel for that. And this room. Biggest circuit board in the area. I think there's only one solution to this, but that's just because I'm too lazy to figure out if there's more than one. I've always known about this one since I first played the game, so I just kind of stick with it. I wonder how speedrunners deal with puzzles like this. Then again, there's probably some sort of wrong warp you can do or something. Though thankfully, these circuit board puzzles, while they might look intimidating, once you just start to think, they aren't that bad. Though honestly, I would think that there's more than one solution, considering there's so many different paths, considering... I'm looking at it, there's like 3 different paths, so there's likely more than one solution. Though apparently the far right path is not one that you could probably take. Looking at it now. I'm actually gonna see if I can figure out if there is another solution. No, there isn't actually. Well, actually... yeah, there's not. You can only take this one path. I know I'm only just now figuring that out, but... eh. Also, in case you push one of... I'm very late in saying this yet again. If you push one of these into the wrong hole, don't worry, just leave the room and come back in, they'll respawn. And with that, we push the final switch, freeing all 3 sandfalls. Meaning we're actually already towards the end of this area. Yeah, the Venus Lighthouse, while it is a pretty final area, it's not that hard. And I'm actually kind of grateful for that. This game's difficulty curve is rather solid. It stays easy throughout no matter what, but at the same time, there is at least a difficulty curve. It is harder at the end than it is at the start, especially if you go for Deadbeard. Then again, Deadbeard's just a dick. Anyway, our goal here is the top right of the room. As I now figure out, because, like I've said before, I played this game a bit, but there's times where I just can't remember where I have to go until I think for a second. Anyway, up these stairs is the final room in the dungeon. Once we slide down there, we're set into the final events of the game. Which I don't want to do yet, because I want to head back to the entrance of the Venus Lighthouse really quick, go down here, save and hard reset, because time for some more RNG manipulation for another rare drop. The first battle you do after the hard reset will be these guys, which we've already fought, so just run away, you're pretty much guaranteed to do it. But the second one will be a singular Thunder Lizard, who we've run into before. For the first round, you're going to want to attack with Isaac, defend with Garrett, attack with Ivan, and defend with Mia. By the way, I switched my equipment back around to the way it was earlier. Second round, use Flint with Isaac, defend with everyone else. And in doing so, you get the Blessed Mace, which I think is just the best weapon period for Mia. And that's the last RNG manipulation we're gonna do. Yay! But with that, I'm gonna need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching. And in part 31, we're heading after Satiros and Minardi one last time. And as I mentioned earlier, in between parts, I'm grinding everyone up to level 35, 36. See you guys then in what will likely be a multiple part finale.